Making salt dough, yeah, making the dough with Miss Marcus.
Hello students. Today's art project will take place in the kitchen. I was hoping to use clay this month in the art room, but we don't have any clay, so you are going to make your own dough using flour, salt, and water. You'll need measuring cups, a bowl, and probably your parents.
All right, now this is a little bit silly, but I tried the recipe on this paper and it was a little too dry. So I have a different recipe for you. The important thing is you add the flour, you add the salt, and then you add the water. It helps if you add it a little at a time instead of dumping it all at once like here. I'm learning a lot the more I try this recipe. So then you keep mixing it around. If it's too dry, you add a little more water. If it's too wet, you add a little more flour. All right, that looks pretty good. If it's not sticking to your hands too much, that means it's ready for you to use. These are some projects that I made earlier as a test. Here is one of the clay flowers. I followed the other art teacher's directions, but you can see it's still definitely not dry. These parts are dry here, and it's starting to on the back, but it looks like I need to put it in the oven for a lot longer. This little clay animal actually feels pretty good, but I might keep it in just to be safe. And this guy looks good on the front, but the back still has a long way to go. So I'm going to flip it, pop these back in the oven, and when they're dry, I can paint them. Since it's spring, I'm going to show you guys how to make a bunny. Now, this clay works best for flat projects. So I'm going to flatten this, and since it's sticking to my hand, one good trick is you can get a little flour and put it on your hands, and then it won't stick as much. So I'm going to push it down. You can even pound it a little. You don't want it to be too thin, and that's a head. Next, we need ears for our bunny. So I'm going to take my clay and roll some logs like this. I'm going to pull them apart, make them pretty much the same, maybe roll them a little more, and they are going to go on top. Now I'm going to overlap them like this so that the clay is touching the other clay and it becomes a strong connection. Next, I'm going to make a little muzzle or like a little nose for my bunny. So I'm going to squeeze another pancake, put it on top. Oh, he's so cute. And I'll move that little hair there. Okay, nobody wants that. Next, let's give him some eyes. We'll pop those down right there. And you can use a pencil or a pen and give it a little push. Now he needs a face, right? So let's give him, you could use your same tool and you can kind of draw a nose or a mouth. You can roll a really thin snake or coil, as it's called in clay, and you can kind of make a mouth. I think he's a happy bunny. There we go. Whoop. And use your tools to add little details. Maybe he has freckles, or she. Maybe there's a little hair bow in her hair. Let's see, I'll give her a little bow on her ear. For a bow, I'm making little circles on the sides, then kind of attaching them together like that. Now that doesn't look quite like a bow yet, so I'm going to add a little smoosh on both sides, and oh, she looks so pretty. Now that's my bunny. So, ooh, she's very squishy, isn't she? I'm gonna leave her right on the parchment paper, and I'm gonna scooch over some other shapes to show you that you can use other animals too. So if you wanted to make a cat or a dog, you could just do different sorts of ears, right? And then add that nose. I just sped up the video. Don't I sound like a cute little woodchuck? Anyway, I'm making a cat here. And in the next one, I'm going to show you how to make a unicorn. I know there's someone who's watching who really likes horses. So anyway, I'm adding ears, making the pieces nice and thick because anything too thin won't be very strong, right? And because this clay was so soft, I had kind of a hard time with it. So feel free to add more flour if yours feels squishy. So here I'm adding the mane on the unicorn, a little eye, a little nose,
and a little happy mouth. And I think they look a little scary unless you add those little dots. You can use a marker to add things like scales, a bit of cardboard or a kitchen knife. But again, make sure you ask permission before you use all this kitchen stuff. And if you want to make it a necklace or something, add a hole. So there's a finished bunny, little kitty cat, that could be a necklace or something, and a unicorn. So after these are done, you can let them dry by the window, but it takes forever. So I recommend putting your clay projects in the oven for 200 degrees for, it could be even a couple hours, more later.